Okay, Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Sai. We are holding today on in Tzurba Mirabanan, volume 13, the newest volume. We are on page. What page are we on? That's a good question. All right. So where we left off last time on page 34. So we're dealing with Hilchas ben Adam lechavero, and we were talking about lying. A person can lie, midvar sheker tirchas, and we had from the Sefer Chinuch. And we have from the Sefer HaMitzvot as well that there seems to be the lying in Betin is the Issa D'Oraita. Lying elsewhere is not a good thing. Maybe Issa D'Rabbanan, right? You had the Mesilat Yesharim that went through a couple of different. You have a professional liar. You have a guy who lies in every scenario. You have those who lie, here and there. And he ends off by saying, he says that anyone who has a brain realizes the problems of lying. So today we're going to really start off with the Gemara Masechah Yevamot that deals with times. So let's look inside. Source 28. Masechah Yevamot Daf Samach Amud Beit. Says Ila Mishum Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon Mutter loy le'adam lishnod b'davar hashalom. It's permissible for a person to lishnot, to change. It doesn't say to lie, to l'shaker. It doesn't say to l'shaker, but it says lishnot b'davar hashalom, to change for shalom. Shneimar. Okay, so now it's going to bring a couple of proofs. How do we know that you're allowed to change the words in order to keep the peace? In order to be davar hashalom. Shneimar. So this is from this week's parsha, Parshat Vayechi, right? Where does it say in Parshat Vayechi? The brothers send a message to Yosef after Yaakov dies, right? After Yaakov dies, they send a message, and they say over there, Shneimar Avicha Tziva Kotamru LeYosef Anasana. So they send a message, and they say, your father commanded before he died. So shall you say to Yosef, please forgive the brothers. Now Yaakov really never said that, right? Yaakov never told the brothers to tell Yosef to forgive them. Yaakov never said any of that. But the brothers, in order to keep the peace, they send messengers who changed from the truth. Exactly how they changed from the truth, we'll see in source 30. But let's continue with the Gemara. Rav Natan Omer, mitzvah. It's actually a mitzvah to change the truth in order to preserve peace. Shneimar, how we know? V'yomer Shmuel, eich elech b'shma Shaul v'hargeni. Okay, so Hashem tells Shmuel, you have to go and coronate David. You have to make David HaMelech the king. So Shmuel says, if I go to make David the king, and Shaul, the present king, hears it, he's going to want to kill me. So Hashem tells him, okay, take an animal, and when you're going up to coronate David, if anyone asks you, why are you doing there? You say you're bringing a korban. Even though he wasn't really going to bring a korban, right? He was going to coronate David, but yet Hashem told him, take the animal, and if someone asks you what you're doing, you go and you say you're bringing a korban. Eventually, you'll bring a korban with that animal, but it's like a way to bypass the guard from finding out that Shmuel is really coming to coronate David. So, okay, we have our first example from the brothers sending messengers to Yosef saying to forgive them. We have our second that from Nosson seems to say that it's a mitzvah because Hashem commanded Shmuel to sort of depart from the truth in order to save his life and say, I'm going to bring a korban and not say I'm going to make David king. And then we have the famous one, the Rebbe Shmuel Tana, Gadol HaShalom, how important is Shalom? Sha'afa Kadosh Baruch HaShinaboy. Even Hashem changes the words in order to keep peace. The Mikara Ketiv. Because when it says, when Sarah found out that she's supposed to have a baby, she says, Va'adoni Zakein, but my master is old. My husband is an old man. There's no way. Side Ketiv. But when Hashem repeated over to Avram, what Sarah Imenu said, he says that Sarah said, Va'ani Zakanti, and I became old. So you see that Hashem was Mishana the words. He changed the words in order to create peace. In order there shouldn't be a shalom bayit issues between whatever that means between Adam and between Avram and Sarah. I can't imagine that Avram and Sarah would get in a fight over such things. But even for that little bit of may it be a problem of Shalom Bayis, Hashem changed the words. So we have three examples. We have the brothers sending a message to Yosef. You have Hashem telling Shmuel to say bring a carbon and not coronating David. And you have the example of Avram and Sarah, Baruniza Cain, Vaniza Kanti. Okay, so Rashi in Yevamot over there, he says Avicha Tziva, Yaakov Loy Tziva, Elohim Shinu Mipnei Darchei Shalom. Yaakov never really told them anything to ask Yosef for Mechila, but they deviated from the truth in order for Shalom. Eich Elech b'chtiv v'yomer Hashem agalot bakar tikach biyadecha v'amarta l'zvoach. And Hashem said, go and tell them you're bringing a sacrifice, when he really wasn't. That wasn't the idea of his trip. V'adoni zakein Sarah Amma lashon bizui. She said an embarrassing lashon. V'shechigle Hakadosh Baruch Hu davar l'avim ktiv l'amazeh tzachaka Sarah v'ani zakanti v'shina davar mipnei hashalom. So it seems to be that you could change the words in order to prevent problems, right? In order to keep the peace. Now, the biggest issue with this is, from these examples, is the example of the first one, right? The brothers went and sent to Yosef, and they said, your father commanded that you should be Michael us. When Yaakov never really said that. Right, and the other examples were changing words. You know, Shmuel is going with the carbon, but he's also going to coronate David. So he says, I'm going to bring a carbon. He doesn't mention about David. By Avram, she said, he's old, whatever. He just changed the verbiage. By there, it seems to be a lot more of a lie, right? And this is the Aruch LaNer, right? Aruch LaNer says, Kasha Katzas. You have somewhat of a question, but Eich Mutter L'Shaker. How are the brothers allowed to lie? It says that they midvar sheker terech, you have to stay far away from a lie. What does it mean lishnoi? To change. It should have said you're allowed to lie. Why does it say lishnoi? Yesh lamer the chat timer miyoter kivan the chvar ketiv lemor v'lechein yesh lamer shehem amr lishna the mishtama letrei ape. The Emet loy shalchu rakavi chatziva lifnei mota loymer yikav asam bezeh shetziva mash shetziva the kidchtiva Yaakov letzavis is benov vayisipu l'shluchim kotam l'Yosef shemer came atzmam ubezeh lo emru bepi beferish of tziva came of Yosef yispar shavi chatziva. So the Aruch LaNer said, this is what the brothers did. The brothers sent messengers and they said, your father commanded. What they meant was your father commanded X, Y, and Z, whatever he really said. Then they said, and we're going to tell you, please forgive your brothers. Now, Yosef understood that as being one statement, that it seems to be the father said, please forgive the brothers. But the way the brothers set up the statement seemed that Yaakov said it. But if you would have paid attention, you would have seen it was two different statements. That's like the famous verse with Yaakov, when Yitzchak said, "Who are you?" He said, "Oh, Esav is the Bechar, and I'm me." Right? So like he's like not lying, right? That's the same idea. He's saying something that can be interpreted two ways. It didn't say by themselves. So that's what Aruch LaNer said. Aruch LaNer says you're allowed to lishnot, not to lishaker. You're not allowed to lie, but you're allowed to change the words when you need to in order to create peace. Okay, when are these cases of when you need to create peace? So, the Piskei Tshuvot brings a couple of examples of when is it considered okay to change the words in order not to tell somebody something. So let's take a look. I just wanted to see something over here. The Gemara in Bava Metzia, Daf 23, Daf 24, lists 3 cases in which the practice of rabbis was to answer the question untruthfully. Right? In the first case, the scholars alter the truth for the sake of modesty. In the second, as a matter of decency, not to publicize intimate matters. And the third, they did so to avoid placing financial impositions upon someone. Okay, and this is all from Gemara Mamitzi. But let's take a look at the Piskei Teshuvah. He gives a couple examples. He says it's permitted, and some say it's even a mitzvah, to alter one's words, right? L'shnot b'dibor. In order to stay awake, kedei, what does it say? Kedei limnoa mereva, to stay away from a dispute, right? To stay away from hatred and an argument. If there's no other way to stay away from an argument or dispute unless you say what's called a white lie, change a little bit around, then you're allowed to do that. And some say it's even a mitzvah. Mutar v'yesh af mitzvah, in order to prevent fights and dispute, machlokets. Okay. He says, someone comes to your house or your office and you don't want to meet with them. It's permitted, he says, this is Hilchot Sheben Adam L'Chavero. Okay. He says over here that you're allowed to tell them he will be here later, or he's unable to see you right now. If these words don't work, you're able to say the person is not there, right? If it's very difficult to meet this person for whatever reason, you're allowed to say that. If the person is sleeping, you're allowed to say he's not there. But he says, be very careful if you have small children around. You shouldn't say it like this because then they're going to become accustomed to lie. You don't want them to do that. So again, so you can say, oh, he's not available, or he's not around. Tell the guy to walk into the bathroom, and then you say he's not available, right? He's not around. He's in the bathroom. That's the type of thing he's saying. Yeah, Avram?
Yeah. There was a Gemara story about a couple. They settled in the city. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And one time somebody came into their house. His wife was taking a shower.
So go back to page 34 in the Tzurba. Page 34.
He was banished.
The wife of a certain rabbi changed her word, even though her intention was good. The angel of death began to prevail over them. They expelled her from them due to this, and their former tranquility was restored. Right, as a city that no one was dying, and then the wife of the rabbi lied, and they started dying there. You're right.
If they were allowed to lie for those reasons, for new purposes,
permissible. Yes.
So why they were banished and punished for this?
Now that city was very special that they never even told a white lie, and because of that, they never fell into the malachim of its hands, right? And didn't have any problems with the malachim of it. But that doesn't mean that woman did non-halachically. She did halachically, but that city was on a much higher level, right? So, like he ends up, he says, better not do it if there's children around. Meaning, we don't want to do these things. But let's say this guy is coming, and he's a troublemaker. He's going to come. He's going to make balagan in the house. He's going to make problems, right? And the family can't deal with it right now. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let him in? No, you have to send him away, right? It's not good for the house, not good for the family, not good for the kids, whatever it is. Can't have him there. So you have to say something, right? Now, yeah, that's what he's saying. Okay. He says another example. If someone asks you for a loan, you don't want to give it to them, right?
What page is that?
Page 37. One can be lenient and say, we do not have the object that you request. Also allowed to say, if the father and mother are getting to a fight, the father asks, who did you this? Who said this? Who told you to do that? And they realize he's going to make a fight, shalom bayis issues with his wife, so the kids can say a white lie. You're allowed to lie to children in order to make them stop fighting, right? A woman who goes to mikvah, right? So this is one that sometimes deal with. So the wife has to go to the mikvah, right? And then the parents call, oh, why can't you come? Come. You don't want to tell them that she's going to mikvah. So you're allowed to say other things. Let's say she's going to visit someone. She has a class. She has a lecture. She has an appointment or something like that. For sake of tzniut, it will be allowed to do such a thing. Also, if you went to someone's house and they're giving you food and you're worried about the kashrut standards there, he says it's permissible to say that you're on a diet or you're fasting or whatever like that. Just so it reminds me of a Maisa with the great Rosh Yeshiva of Tervadat, Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zechat Tzadik Lebracha, right? He was once at someone's house. He wasn't a Chassidic Yid, so he was allowed to eat gebrocks, matzah dipped into water, but he went to someone's house for Pesach. He was very worried about the kashrut standards there, and they did eat gebrocks. They did put the matzah into to water. So Yaakov Kamenetsky said, "Oh, I don't eat gebrocks, so I can't eat here." Right? This way, he got out of eating in that house. But they say that after that day, Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky never ate gebrocks again. So he lied at the moment, but he didn't really lie because he kept it afterwards. So to what point you have to hold it? It doesn't seem like you have to keep it afterwards, but it's better not to put us. Again, all these cases are, if you need to say something, you say it, but be careful. Not to. We don't want you to willy-nilly lie. And these are the cases that you're allowed to say somewhat of a white lie in order to prevent the financial loss, for tzniut reasons, and the like. Okay, if you're not sure if you're allowed to say a white lie or not, you should ask a local competent Orthodox rabbi for advice. Okay, moving on to page 38. Which is a very small place. Let's just small sip over here. Shulchan Aruch says that a person has to be very careful to not take oaths, not to take. You shouldn't do a shvuah. Shouldn't take an oath. Feel be'emet, even a truthful oath. She'elav irois hayu liyanai hamelech v'chulam nichravu b'shvil shvuim shvuot apal pi shehayu mekayimim otam. Even though they took oaths and they kept them, they fulfilled them, still 1,000 cities were destroyed from King Yanna because of people taking oaths. You're not supposed to take oaths. So too says the Alpi Yosef, Yizahir, should be very careful to take shvuos, apal davar emes, even if something is true, afilim nishva al davar mikaimo. Even if you swear and you do it, you should keep away from it. The Ibn Ezra, source 34, he brings down as follows. Many think that using Hashem's name in vain, right? They think they're not doing a big avirah. Oh, whatever. I just said a few words. I promise. I swear. Whatever. He says, that really lying is the worst. Promising in Hashem's name fakely, saying Hashem's name in vain is the worst from all the 10 commandments, right? He says the murderer and the adulterer who have committed terrible crimes, they cannot commit adultery every moment of out of their life. They can't. He says, but a person who swears all day, oh, I swear, I promise, I this, he'll swear entire day, and avirah, over and over and over again. So much he swears, he doesn't even know he's swearing. And if you tell him, why did you just make a swear? Why are you swearing? It's asur. He's going to tell you. What is he going to say? He's going to swear that I didn't swear. I promise you I didn't promise. Right? The guy's just so used to swearing. Moreover, he says they become, they just say things. They always lie. They're always saying this shul is shrub. There are some people you meet. They always say, I promise you, I swear to God, I swear to my mother, I swear to my this, I swear to my. No one asks you to swear, just talk. It's saying Hashem l'shav, right? He says if they did just one sin, it would lengthen their exile. He says even more. He says a murderer who murdered his enemy. Okay, he's already done. He's done. A guy who is an adulterer. He's with another woman, and he fulfills his desire, and he moves on. But a person who swears in God's name all the time, he's never satisfied. He keeps doing it, and doing it. So Ibn Ezra seems to saying, taking oaths, you're not careful of not taking oaths, it can seem to be something that you do all the time. Sefer Chasidim says, if you know that someone always swears and no one's forcing him to do so, you're not allowed to talk to him. Because if you talk to him, he's going to swear. He's going to promise, I swear. And you're not letting him get him to do that. So you're not allowed to talk to him in order to prevent him from swearing. Piskei Tshuva says, it is known that many people do not take an oath even regarding things that are true, even if they lose money due to this. And they have trust in God, right? Even if they have to swear in court, they won't, they'll pay, and they trust that Hashem will take it back. So he says at the end, he says, what do you do if you want to make someone believe that you're saying the truth? So he says the last lines over there, last two lines on page 39, he says, you can say, believe me. That's what you can say. Believe me. That's it. You can't even say, I promise on my life, I promise on my mother's life, I promise on this, I promise on that. Those are all considered oaths to some degree. And therefore, a person should stay away from it. Here he brings a prayer from Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhensk that says, a person should pray, may you save us from bearing jealousy of another, and the jealousy of a person should not come across our heart, the jealousy of us by others. On the contrary, place in our hearts that each of us should see the positive qualities of our fellows and not their faults. Okay, so we should see everybody nicely, deal with them nicely. And that ends off the Hilchot ben Adam lechavero. Stay with me. I'm just going to shut down this recording and start another recording because I want to make the Hilchot Netilat Yadayim its own recording. So just going to do that.